Welcome to NFL Live. We start with breaking news out of New York. The Giants are releasing quarterback Daniel Jones today. This comes just days after New York benched Jones for Tommy DeVito earlier this week. Giants president John Mara released this statement shortly after Jones released from the team. Daniel came to see me this morning and asked if we would release him. We mutually agreed that would be best for him and for the team. Daniel has been a great representative of our organization, first class in every way. His handling of this situation yesterday exemplifies just that. We're all disappointed in how things have worked out. We hold Daniel in high regard and have great appreciation for him. We wish him nothing but the best in the future. Glad you're with us here on this NFL Live Friday. We've got Dan Orlovsky, we have Ryan Clark, we have Marcus Spears, Mina Kimes working through some technical difficulties, and she will be joining us soon. So I'll start with you, Dan. Busy week of news out of New York. What do you make of this latest development with Daniel Jones?
Yeah, necessary and needed. Ever since the benching became official, I guess the most surprising part of this is, at least by reports, that the Giants were surprised post-benching that Daniel Jones would request this. I think this was probably something that most people should have anticipated, that he would want to move on. I fully expect Daniel Jones to clear waivers. And then the question becomes, what's his move? Does he go to a team and try to get a bunch of snaps for the rest of the 6 or 7 weeks left of the season, or does he go and see if he can join a contending football team? The Dolphins come to mind for me. I wouldn't disagree or hate the fact of the Chicago Bears trying to get a veteran there for Caleb Williams. The Los Angeles Chargers, now that they're going on a playoff run, having someone behind Justin Herbert. I think it's going to take both parties doing due diligence. What does Daniel Jones want and expect? And then what teams think that they have a legitimate chance to make a run and just want to upgrade at the backup quarterback spot?
Yeah, I think this is sort of confusing for me. I feel like the New York Giants, though they mishandled this situation, which is what got them to this point with Daniel Jones, have done their best to be a class act in how they have handled him as far as extending him and giving him a contract and allowing him to play as long as possible to prove that he earned and deserved that contract. I watched the same thing or something similar happen with Russell Wilson last year. I felt like Russell Wilson, at least publicly, was treated much more harshly than Daniel Jones has been treated. So Daniel Jones going to the Mara family and asking for his release is somewhat puzzling to me. It does give me a little look into why he sort of gave a farewell to the fans, a farewell to the organization yesterday. I think if you're Daniel Jones now, you want to move forward and have an opportunity to compete somewhere. You want to show that you could be a good starting quarterback in this league. I don't know if that market exists for him right now, but what we do know, there's been the Carson Wentz's, the Gardner Minshew's, and some of these starting quarterbacks that have gotten opportunities in other places to be starters again or to at least compete for those jobs. And I believe that's what Daniel Jones is going to do. I don't know if you're a team that's saddled right now with Desmond Ridder and Gardner Minshew. Do you say to yourself, maybe bringing Daniel Jones in as a backup is a smart move for us if we're the Las Vegas Raiders for the rest of the year?
I like the ideas that both of y'all talked about, and Daniel Jones obviously requesting a release I thought was the right thing to do to get this next phase of his career started. And I don't know the backup situation, but Dan, I heard you throw some teams out there. If I'm Daniel Jones, I'm trying to get around Sean McVay or Kyle Shanahan or Ben Johnson. I'm trying to get around some guys that we've seen develop quarterbacks and put them in really good situations just to sit and learn. I know a backup is very valuable in this league, but I think about Baker Mayfield leaving and going to the Rams. I'm sure he talks about what he learned from Sean McVay. You think about Kyle Shanahan, what he brought in Sam Darnold, and at a time we was talking about Sam Darnold can truly compete against Brock Purdy. We wouldn't feel bad about him going back in the game, but I think this is a learning tenure for Daniel Jones to be in a better situation, because the reality is he didn't play great. And we knew that this was coming, but he also wasn't set up well. Offensive line issues, never having a dominant wide receiver. Obviously, was a lot of things going on in New York outside of Daniel Jones and what his talent was or wasn't. But I think this needs to be a learning process for him. So I would get around some of these offensive minds that we think very highly of, especially from the quarterback position, and try to learn as much as possible. And maybe that ignites something in him and he can play better football going forward if that opportunity ever presents itself. And I think that should be his train of thought right now, is just soaking up as much information and learning how to play the position. And this is no shade to Brian Daboll. I think he's one of the better quarterback guys in the league, but we've seen system and structure that he implemented with Josh Allen that made him better. And obviously there was some highlights of Daniel Jones last year as the reason why they decided to pay him. But I think now he needs to get around a great quarterback developer and some offensive football minds to get a different perspective of what this league is from that position.
Yeah, if he's ever going to have a career in this league again as a starter, he needs to decompress. The goal should not be to run somewhere where you can get snaps on a bad football team right now. The goal should be, how do you remake your name?
Right.
And Marcus, I actually like the point of Detroit for a couple of reasons. I didn't think about this, but one, obviously you have the chance to be around a really well-run organization. You learn offensive football at an incredibly high level, and one that he's not been around. But also this. Ben Johnson, who's their play caller, is probably going to go be a head coach next year. You have no idea what that 7-week stretch could lead to when it comes to the 2025 season.
Yeah.
So if you get around an offensive coordinator that becomes a head coach somewhere and he wants to bring in somebody that knows his system, that he believes maybe has a chance to be an impactful player for their organization, that's a good spot. So I actually think that Detroit spot, the more I think about it after you said it, makes a lot of sense. But most importantly, Daniel, don't chase what you want right now for what you really want. What you really want is to rebuild your career. The understanding and the learning experience is way more important than snaps.
Yeah, it's a good point, you guys, and well illustrated. Marcus, to your point about Baker Mayfield, it's worth remembering that time with Sean McVay also connected him with Liam Cohen. That's the offensive coordinator, of course, now with the Bucs. They developed a great relationship, and then that was a really smart marriage there in Tampa Bay. We'll see what happens with Daniel Jones.